Hey guys, you're a Humba host, or Kayla if you prefer. I don't care, my name's already out there. Um, this is just gonna be a random thought video. I was doing laundry today, and I've been kind of having this plague my mind on and off. And considering my age and whatnot, um, how do you guys feel about kids? I know this is a random topic, possibly kind of awkward, but seriously, how many of my viewers are actual parents? I know that just from my analytics of my channel, I have a lot of adult males that watch my channel more than I do adult females. Not so much with the teenagers. This is going off of the analytics of my YouTube channel because I do look time to time because I get curious. Anyway, the reason why I bring it up, because I know I'm not the only one in this boat who is either married without kids, or they're single without kids, or they're engaged without kids, and they keep mulling the idea over, but have heard various arguments. And just to give you heads up, because this will tie into something else, and I'll explain why. But the arguments that I have heard in regards to having kids or not having kids is having kids is immoral in this day and age. I'm not kidding. I've heard this argument before. Older generations of people, there's no point in people giving birth anymore because the earth is overpopulated. That is another one. I've heard, if we want to throw race into this, I have also heard arguments that white people shouldn't give birth and should opt in to have abortions. Kind of fucked up. What other arguments have I heard? I've heard that if women do not bear children, then they are useless and a burden to society. We saw a little bit of this during the Charlottesville riots when that woman, and I do apologize, her name escapes me, when she was plowed over by someone of the alt-right, and there was an article that was released on her calling her useless because she was in her 30s and she was not married and didn't have any kids, and it was written by MGTOW. This is an argument you hear a lot from MGTOW, where if a woman is not willing to have kids or get married or what have you, she is useless and sucks off resources. That is another argument I've heard. Any parent who has children will tell you that they are a blessing to have, that they're worth having, and all the stuff. And I'm not knocking those who have chosen to stay home and raise kids. No. Lord knows we need more good parents in the home to raise the children so our society isn't corrupt, because as you can see, the lack of discipline and good parenting results in the problems we have today. But so those are just a few of the arguments I've heard, and when it comes to wanting to have kids, it's kind of like a back and forth pendulum. I have maybe seasons in my life where I think about wanting to have them and think about what that's like, and then I have other seasons to where I'm just going, hell no. And for me personally, I don't hate kids. I work with the public. That's part of my job. I'm not going to give away what I do. But anyway, I work with the public all the time. I see kids all the time, and I play peekaboo with them. I talk with them. I try to make them laugh and smile. So I don't hate kids. I don't have a problem with them. It just, my biggest thing is them coming from me. Now, I've had one miscarriage, and this was very, very early on. For those of you who've had any experience with the Depo shot, or synthetic progesterone. my body, what it did was it increased the progesterone. And so when I came off of it, because my body didn't have to create as much progesterone as it was used to doing during the time of the depot, when I was coming off of it, my progesterone levels were very, very low. So when I did end up getting pregnant, and I kept taking pregnancy tests, and the line kept getting darker and darker and darker, went through like 5 to 6 boxes. But there is, when the egg burrows into the uterine wall, sometimes there's something called implantation bleeding, or excuse me, implantation bleeding, and that's where a little bit of the blood is released. And so when that happened to me, like, everything got flushed out, because I was visiting a relative, talking with them, and I was still taking the pregnancy test, and then I had implantation bleeding while I was visiting them. And when I went to an actual pregnancy center to get officially tested and all that wonderful stuff, nothing. So, which was kind of weird, so I had to go to the doctor and get hormonal testing done, and come to find out my progesterone was really, really low. So not only did I get put on a supplement, I actually got an ultrasound to make sure that there was nothing in there before I got put on a supplement to get my hormone levels back to where they needed to be. And suffice to say, that was really depressing. Yeah. And so anyone who's had a miscarriage, like more severe, because like I said, mine was early, and there are people, I've read all kinds of blogs, people having miscarriages like further on down, and those are like way more traumatic. I've heard of some really sad stories. But anyway, when it comes to having a miscarriage, you kind of feel dysfunctional, like you're not a real woman. I mean, that's how it felt like with me. Granted, like I said, mine was like really early, but that kind of like puts you off, at least me and possibly a few other women, from wanting to try again or wanting to have kids, because it's like, well, that officially sucked. That really did. And there's other factors that go into that as well. So that's one thing that's happened that's kind of swung me to not really wanting to have kids and not really wanting to screw with any of that after that one experience, because oof, just imagine being further along and having that happening. That's not fun. But anyway, like I said, I've gone back and forth. When I was younger, I wanted to have kids, wanted to have a family of my own, and as I've gotten older, as I've seen more stuff break out, more social problems, it's just like, don't want to deal with it. And then when it comes to me personally, and this is not me beating myself up or whatnot, I don't know if I want to have mini-me's running around. I really don't. I think one of me is plentiful enough, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree. I'm a decent person at best, but to be that type of, how you say, role model, because I really don't consider myself a role model of any type. I just kind of do my thing, help where I can. I jump the gun, I do stupid shit like everyone else. But to really be looked at in that sort of way, just like, and then having to worry about another person, another heart from scratch, mind you, where you have to instill morals, moral compass, conscience, no. And I know that sounds depressing, but it's just like, no. And like I said, there's other factors that tie into it. Like I said, this is going to tie into another subject, as I've brought up before on my channel, because this does affect it too. I have a traumatic past or whatnot, child abuse, sexual abuse, and hopefully I'll be able to dig into that soon enough and see how far that rabbit hole goes. But anybody, and I'm sure a lot of past victims can attest to this, but anybody who's been put through that sort of thing and come out of it and getting counseling or trying to deal with it, you come out, different. You come out socially awkward, some of us. You come out more flamboyant, and I don't mean gay. The way I use flamboyant is you're more extreme in some areas of your personality than other people are. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. I'm doing a poor job. I apologize. But you come out different. You come out broken. You're missing pieces of your foundation that normal children, and I'm not trying to exclude anybody, but normal circumstances provide, that normal children have, that they were able to grow up safely in their mother and father's care and go into adulthood. Not everybody gets to experience that, and I really didn't get to experience that. So much so, I mean, looking back, I did end up with good parents. My bio dad and my new mom. But even that was like awkward and for me, because it's just like there's stuff I didn't quite understand, stuff I just didn't like, just couldn't register. So looking back at all that, it's just like I don't know if I can really relate to a kid. It's one thing to have like nieces and nephews and be able to play with them and visit with them and talk with them, but then you kind of give them back. They don't stay with you. You don't have to raise them. You don't have to discipline them. So when it comes to having children of your own, particularly for me, and looking back at all that stuff, where I didn't have the proper foundation, there's still stuff that is not dealt with because of memory repression and just other issues. It's just like not really a good idea, I feel. And I've heard many stories about kids. I've seen my parents' frustration with me and my siblings. I've witnessed other stuff. I actually witnessed something kind of messed up today. Not going to say too much on it, but I went somewhere and there was an officer talking with mom and her daughter, and you can tell she was in deep shit. And I caught bits and pieces of it, but it's just like, you know, teenager, of course. Teenagers do dumb things, but it's just kind of looking at that, just like, yikes. I don't know. I guess I've gotten to where, as I'm getting older, there's less stuff I just don't want to deal with because it's just like, nah, you guys want to do stupid, go over there and do it. Don't include me into it. I don't know. Like I said, this is a rambling video, and I'm at like 13 minutes. I'm looking at my video recorder thingy here. But I don't know. I don't really know if I could really relate to children because I didn't grow up normal. I was picked on really bad. And because of my abuse, I was very socially awkward where people thought I was mental. It was that bad. I didn't take medication or anything for it. My parents worked with me, but I was still socially awkward. Didn't relate to my peers at all. Didn't really relate to my gender. Still don't. I'm getting better at it, but still got like a sore thumb from my siblings, and there was stuff in there that I just didn't understand or relate to. So, factoring all that in, it's just like, I have no idea how I'm going to raise a kid, and I know that people will tell you, any parent will tell you, there's no manual for it, you learn as you go, you feel things out. This is stuff I have heard. So, but like I said, in regards to me personally having one or having several, I mean, how do you guys feel about it with everything that's going on? I mean, what arguments have you heard either for or against having children? I mean, is that something you guys want to do? I mean, I know people bring up adoption. And there's a lot of kids that go through the CPS system, which is really screwed up in several states, and foster care and all that wonderful stuff. But see, even adopting one, because that's a whole different ball game, because considering what they've been through, and I'm not saying adoption is evil. No, there are many parents who go through the process of adoption and care for that child like it's their own. And I've heard horrible stories about children getting adopted and only being used as a source of money. I've heard of some really fucked up shit. But in general, there's nothing wrong with adoption. There's nothing wrong with taking in a child and raising it as your own and giving him or her a family. So there's nothing wrong with that. But like I said, for me, adoption would be a whole different ball game. Still a difficult one, because then you have to figure out what happened to the child, medication, you really don't know the child's personality, what issues does the child come with. And I've also heard this too, and I heard this way back when I was younger, is that the foster children who are the most trouble or deemed the troublemakers or have like the hardest time adjusting to homes, those are the last kids that get adopted out, or those are the last kids that get fostered. And that really sucks, because those are the children it sounds like they need to be worked with the most. So, but yeah, sorry, this is rambly video. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not even sure if I can have kids at this point. Like I said, I don't know if the depot really did anything that to jeopardize that, because like I said, I had that early miscarriage, and that was from my body still recovering from the depot shot, which for those of you who don't know is synthetic progesterone. And for me, my hormones have always been balanced for the most part, so I really don't gain weight. Sorry, going somewhere with that. So when I had the depot shot, it increased my progesterone, and then when that happens, if any of you have done readings on hormone imbalance at all, you will find that when your hormones are seriously jacked up, you can't lose weight, like, for anything. And so I was putting on a little bit of weight. I couldn't lose the weight. It was driving me crazy. So I don't know, after my body came off a depot, I don't know if that screwed up anything permanently. I mean, my hormones are fine now. I think I had them tested about a year ago. And every time I do go have them tested, because I'm not on birth control, like, at all. This stuff just, I will never touch the crap again, because just no. And I'm not calling birth control unethical. There's certain types of birth control that I do believe is unethical, but birth control in general, no. There are many uses for it. It can be used to balance hormones properly, to regulate a woman's menstrual cycle, prevent pregnancy when you don't want it. So I am all for birth control when used properly. But for me, personally, because of my experience with Depot and then with another one, Ortho Evra, and reading up on like what it does to our hormones, and I won't touch the crap ever again. Just no. No. There's just no. Yeah, I don't like the fact of gaining weight and not being able to lose it. But anyway, as I was saying, for me, my hormones are perfectly fine and whatnot. I just don't know if that really screwed things or caused them to be out of whack permanently, or if what happened to me so many years ago is what possibly caused me to be infertile. So I don't know. I really don't know. But this is just a thought, and I'm going to end it, because holy crap, this is 20 minutes. But I'm going to end it here. Sorry, this is a little bit rambly, and I do these videos from time to time for those of you who just came onto my channel, where I will do random thought videos to where I have a thought come to mind, and I will just expound on it for like 15 to 20 minutes, so you'll hear me ramble. But anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on kids? Do you guys think it's a good idea to be having kids, especially in this day and age? Do you guys feel like you could parent, a child, what have you, leave your thoughts in the description below. And with that, I will see you guys around.